All right, guys, welcome back to another day of InvestSmarter. Like you guys know, today is Thursday. That means that the Federal Reserve is dropping the new average 30-year fixed rate mortgage rates for the last 7 days here in the United States. And as you guys can probably tell in the graph right there, some pleasant news. I wonder if it's at all related to, the war kind of like having a ceasefire. Now, this is supposed to be the average over the last 7 days. But, at the end of the day, there's somebody in the Federal Reserve, and I'm sure that they want to reflect the latest and greatest numbers to really stimulate the economy as much as they can. And they know that a lot of people look at these rates, right? These average rates. And so they might just be reporting what literally happened yesterday, right? Like every lender called me yesterday that we work with, letting me know, like, dude, like, I know you're trying to refinance, your properties to buy something. Rates just came down. Do you want to lock in right now? I said, no, I'm still looking. Right. And I think that this is going to continue going forward as long as the ceasefire holds. So, or if, just everything turns out to be gravy, which would be nice. So with that being said, guys, let's see where the rates are at today. As of today, right, the last one that we were using was 6.46 in all of our calculations. And as of today, it's back down to 6.37, very close to what it was 2 weeks ago, March 26th. Okay, we're back down to that point. So that's going to be better for our calculation. So let's go ahead. Let's update the calculator to reflect 6.36. And that is what we will be using for this 6.37, sorry, 6.37. Not much of a difference, but what we'll be using this week to make all our calculations. And you could already see, there's going to be a difference there. So that's interest rates. That's great. Well, what about the actual market? Let's take a quick look at the market and see how that's faring. And you could see right here, guys, how many houses, right, have hit the market in the last 7 days, right here, 1,995. How many have seen a price decrease in that amount of time? 2,043. And that's kind of what I was saying, the last couple of days. We might be seeing a lag, right, of houses seeing a price decrease because they did not sell for about a month when we were seeing these interest increases, right? These sellers that wanted to sell, that might have been incentivized to like sell, like for whatever reason, they didn't see their house move because buyers, for the most part, were not going through with their purchases or not making as aggressive as offers because they were seeing interest rates increase. Unless they already had their interest rate locked in, which means that they were actively shopping and probably trying to get under contract quickly, most buyers, right, they were still not under contract, and so their rates were fluctuating with the market. Again, that's basically all I'm saying is because the interest rates were going up, right, buyers were holding off. The sellers were saying like, hey, we're the buyers. The buyers didn't come through for a month. And now you're having this lag effect where now you're having these sellers saying like, hey, listen, let's drop the price. And maybe the real estate agent saying today like, hey, man, interest rates are coming down. He's like, yeah, like, but I need to sell this. So like, let's drop the price and hope that, somebody comes through and puts us under contract. So all that being said, guys, if you're a buyer, it's still a fantastic market, right? You're seeing that there's more price decreases than there are houses coming onto the market. And that also means that for every single house that we see, the probability of them actually also decreasing the price is going to be pretty high, right? So if we see a deal and it's borderline, like it's like, hey, listen, like this could be an A deal, but right now it's a B. Well, you could probably push that seller to make that an A deal, okay? So with all that being said, let's take a look at the market. Let's see the houses that are up for sale. There's 4 houses for sale, or 4 houses that hit the market today, 4 multifamily income-producing properties. Let's take a look at them. Oh, all right. So it was 5. The last time I checked, it was 4. So, we do this stuff live. So this is what happens, guys. All right. I like to sort these by price per square foot. Today we have some pretty good ones. Nothing in the like $600, $700 range. Per price per square foot. Let's check these out. Usually stuff like that's at 500 and change is not going to make sense, but you never know. So again, let's take a look at this one. Let's put it in the calculator, guys. All right, here we go. we're looking at a $1.95 million fourplex in Miami-Dade, currently paying $25,082 dollars a year in taxes. Square feet, it's pretty big. All right, 3,600 square feet. So, you know, let's see. Total rent, however, they're saying that they're only collecting $5,850 a month in rent. And if you guys are familiar with the 1% rule, which is our first filter, it's kind of like what, it's the course filter that we run every property through. Just if somebody tells you like, hey, I'm selling a duplex for $1 million, you know that like for it to be a good deal, right? Like right off the bat, if it could make 1% of that value a month in rent, meaning 1% of $1 million is 10,000, then you know that it's probably a good deal, a deal worth looking into, right? So if they're telling you that they're selling the property for nearly $2 million, well, then it should be making $20,000 a month in income. This property produces about a fourth of that almost. And so you could see it right there in the 1% gauge, right? It's almost a fourth. It's a third, right? It's 0.3, it's 30%. So right off the bat, it's not making any sense, but we always like to dive into the property because if you just discard property that easily, then you might be, missing out. So we go to our second filter and we do a rent check. We want to make sure that this rent is correct. So let's go and let's take a look at this property. First, I like to look at the pictures, guys. Who doesn't like looking at the pictures? So the grass looks nice. It almost looks a little CGI'd, right? But you never know. So, but it's a two-story. Okay. You see? Like, how could they have such lush grass back here, right? And then the sides look like crap, okay? And this looks like crap. You never know, maybe. Okay, all right. So on the inside, it already looks not good, right? This doesn't look good to me. I don't know what you guys think about this, but I don't like it. Okay, so. Yeah, needs work. This is CGI'd to hell. CGI. Like, this is like photoshopped to hell, right? Probably using AI at this point. Look at the door. You could tell the giveaway's in the door, bro. It doesn't even come on, dude. All right. I don't think those floors are real, dude. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. It's definitely, at minimum, it's touched up by AI, right? That bathtub is like too clean, dude. Like, you're gonna leave those pictures that nice, and then you're gonna leave this looking like crap. Well, the cool thing is it's got a commercial washer dryer, which you could probably make some additional income off of. So that should be something to know. Okay, and those are it. Those are all the pictures. Let's look at the guts of this deal. Let's see if something actually stands out that didn't before. All right. And by the way, let's do this really quick. Okay, so they say exceptional 4-unit property located in the heart of Coral Gables, offering a prime investment opportunity for blah, 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 well maintained, blah, blah, blah. 30-year recertification in 2026, providing peace of mind for future owners. This property features 4 spacious units, each with 2-bedroom, 1 full bath, all with private entrances. Interiors have been thoughtfully updated with white shaker kitchen cabinetry, blah, 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 granite countertops. Okay. On-site laundry with a strong rental setup with 3 currently occupied and 1 vacant, ideal for owner-occupant, immediate lease-up, maximum income, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here we go. They're telling us, right? They're telling us that they have these on month-to-month leases, okay, which are not ideal because you can move in the next month, or you can buy this and the next month they're totally vacant. But that one is renting at $1,850. The other one is renting at $1,800. Another one is renting for $2,200, and the other one is vacant. So that backs up that they're currently getting $5,850. Guys, if this is in Coral Gables, in the heart of Coral Gables, it's a great area. right? They should be getting more money than this. Obviously, the reason that they're not is because of the quality of the property. Now, the question is, can you raise rents enough? At the end of the day, can you raise rents enough and spend? Can you raise rents enough at a reasonable price for this purchase price to be worth it? So let's test it, right? Now we know, right, in our rent check, right here that we're looking at, the median rents for a 2-1 in Miami-Dade are $2,300. If you're able to update these units, right, how much could you get in Coral Gables? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt, and let's say that you can get $3,000 for every single unit, right? And we will do an estimate of like what we think it could cost to renovate these in a second. But first, let's see how much we could actually get in rent every single month. And mind you, we would need to double check, make sure that it's in the right part of Coral Gables, right? Like that they're not falsely advertising this. We got to check the location around it, okay? But based on the medians and the maximums in Miami-Dade for multifamily housing, right? It's not difficult to think that maybe a really nice 2-1 in Coral Gables could go for $3,000. And if that could, then that means that the total rent could be $12,000, right? And if the total rent is $12,000, where do you guys see this in the 1% rule? Remember, for this to be the 1% rule, it would need to make $19,500 a month in rent, and it's only making 12. So if we go back to this, right? We're nowhere near close to the 1% rule. We're at like 0.62%, right? Instead of 1%. And this would basically, if you could increase rents to this amount, you could basically pay for your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, right? It would cover your mortgage 100%. And now, before you go and buy this property, right, or try to think that you could buy this property or even get a loan for this property, you need to know, and the reason that the gauge right now is still in the red or the pink, right, the hot Miami pink, is because no bank is going to say like, oh, it's able to pay the mortgage? Great, I'll lend you money for it. No, they're going to tell you like, hey, I want a little bit more security than that. I want it to be less risky, because if all of a sudden you have a vacancy, you're not going to be able to pay the mortgage for me, right? So what they usually want to see is that this rate is above at least 1.1, right? And that's where it starts getting into the orange here. And then at 125, they would be willing to really give you money. So what I would do is, if I really like this property, if I really wanted to buy this, I would go back to this guy and I would say, listen, dude, like, best case scenario, I could rent them out for $3,000 a piece, but that's probably not even possible because you're not able to do that, right? The best that you can do is $2,200 over here, right? That is impossible. So maybe you could even tell them this, listen, dude, at best case scenario, $2,200 each one of these, right? Puts me at less than $9,000. I can't even pay the mortgage with this, dude. I need you to come down where I could get a loan for this, right? A bottom, like the best case scenario that I could get a loan. And you could show him like some of these calculations so he believes you. Like, hey man, like, can you do 1.5, right? I can't even do like, right? If he tells you like 1.5, be like, nah, man, I can't even get a mortgage with 1.5. Even if I increase the rents on all of them. You could say like, hey, maybe like 1.2, right? Maybe I can give you 1.2. At that point, it starts kind of making sense, but not really, man. I need you to be like at 1.1, right? But not even. It doesn't even get to 110%. We need it to be at 110%. Dude, this guy needs to be like at 1 million, right? And then you can start talking like, hey, it starts making a little bit more sense now. It starts making a little bit more sense. I might be able to get a loan for this, right? Now, it's still risky for you. This property, even at that point where it's a 0.88% property, it's going to be risky for you. Why? Because you haven't been able to really increase these rents. The bank might say like, yeah, this one is rented out for $2,200, but it looks really good, right? And the rest look like shit. So they might not even lend you the money. So this one's looking really tough, guys. And the idea that you could bring this guy down from his asking price of like 2 million to 1 million is very, very difficult. And then you on top of that would need to make sure that you renovate these units. But if you could bring him down to $1 million, right? And then you could turn around and fix the property up for like another like $50,000 a unit, which would make the total, cost of acquisition $1.2 million. But then you could increase the rents all to $3,000, right? All of a sudden you have a 1% property, right? That would be a kick-ass property, right? I mean, look at your return on your investments here, right? The average S&P, remember, is about 10%, right? You'd be making that on cash, basically. You'd be doing the same amount, but the idea here is to leverage, right? You get some leverage. If you could buy this FHA, you'd be making close to 20% return on your investment. S&P could only dream of doing that, right? It does that like once in the blue moon, right? Look at this, your total ROI, right, goes anywhere from 382% to 7,400% over 30 years. I mean, if you buy this using FHA, you're investing $42,000, right, out of your pocket, and over the life, you're gonna get $3 million, okay? You would cash flow pretty nicely. Even at 25% down payment, with a 25% down payment, you would be cash flowing on day one, okay? With cash, you'd be cash flowing on day one. Okay, now if you do FHA or 10%, it would take you a while. But you can see, guys, there's properties that at the 1% rule, cash flow on day one, right? They cash flow even using FHA on day one. Now, here's where this property would kick ass, guys. This property, like, let's say you were able to do all that. Get him to bring his price down to $1 million, right? Spend another $200,000 and renovate the apartments where you could actually rent them out for $3,000 a pop, right? And you do all this with a 6.37% interest rate, right? If interest rates drop and now you're able to refinance in the future, right, which is the idea, is the best idea here, which you can never do with you can never do this with like, right, like investing in stock. You cannot go back and say like, hey, like interest rates went down, let me make this deal better, let me make my investment better. No, like at best your investment will do a little bit better itself, but you cannot actively go ahead and make it better, right? We can't do that with real estate. So let's say interest rates drop. Grant Cardone thinks it's going to drop to 4.5 once this whole thing with Iran is stabilized. If that were to happen, guys, watch what happens. The DSCR, right? Like the amount of, it would pay for your mortgage and then some. It goes through the meter, right? Like I have it to 150%, 161%, right? And what happens to FHA? What happens to FHA, guys? Look at this. Your return on investment goes to like 8,000. It goes ridiculous. It goes bonkers. You invest $42,000 and you get $3.5 million at the end of 30 years. That's just nuts, dude. You would cash flow. Everything cash flows out. Once you refinance, you would cash flow on day one. Like that same month, you would cash flow, right? It would not be a lot, but every single month with FHA, you'd be making $541, right? By year 10, every month you're making $2,700. By year 20, you're making $6,000 a month. And by year 30, you're making $10,000 a month, dude. Can you imagine off of your freaking initial investment of $42K? Like only real estate can do this stuff. Now there's a lot of assumptions that I just made here, guys, right? You could bring the price down, right? You could fix it for $50,000 a pop, right? To a market where you could rent it out for $3,000 now. But you got to verify that the rents are able to do that too. And that later, interest rates drop. But these are all things that could happen. Like they could you could talk to people and nobody's going to be like, I mean, this is crazy. Like maybe the only crazy part is getting this guy to drop his price. And for that reason, guys, because it's going to be very difficult to get this $2 million property that they want $2 million for it down to a purchase price of $1 million. We're going to go ahead, we're going to discard this property because it's going to be too hard to make this scenario actually happen. But if you guys want to go and try it, like go for it, right? It's just, there's, I don't want to say you're spinning your wheels here, but there's a fruit that's like right for the picking where you don't have to do this much work. So that being said, because this property doesn't, it would be too much work to like actually, like all these things would need to happen for it to be a killer deal. We're going to go ahead, we're going to discard this property. I would give this property, again, just the way that it stands right now, he wants $1.95 million, right? And at best, and if you put in another like 200,000, So you're at like 2.2215000. Oh, whoops, one too many zeros. Look at where you're at, guys, right? Look at your return on investment here. It's everything is, you might as well just invest in the S&P 500 and let your money sit there. It'll make you more money than this property. And that's at a 4.5% interest rate. If we go to where we're currently at now, 6.37, right? Look what it drops to. It's terrible. Like, you lose money every which way you look at it, right? No matter how you invest. And so we're not in the game for that. So for that reason, this property is a hard F. And so we're going to discard it. But I showed you guys how it could make sense, right? But you would need to do all these things. Again, decrease the price. Make sure that you could actually, if you walk the property, walk it with a contractor, be like, hey, can you fix this for $50,000 where it looks as good as this other one that's down the street and also renting for $3,000? He tells you yes, right? Like, get a contract, get that somehow in writing, and then you could keep moving forward. And then interest rates would need to drop. Like, all these things would need to happen. And there's just easier deals out there. So we're going to discard this property. Okay, guys. Next property is a $750,000 duplex in Broward County, and the taxes are currently $13,395 a year. Okay, square feet, it's small, 1,462 square feet. Rent, all right, they're not telling us how much rent or in what flood zone it's at, but let's take a quick look at the pictures and see what you guys let me know what you guys think. Let's see here. Okay, so you guys are able to see all this, right? Yeah. Okay. So it looks nice from the front, right? It's clearly a duplex. It's got like one little mailbox here, another one there. Okay, that does not belong to the property. Don't know why they put that there. I don't think it's. So where's the property, dude? Like, I hate when realtors do this crap, dude. Like, it might be close to the water, but honestly, like, I don't have access to this, right? Like, is this a park? Like, this guy's so lazy. He didn't even change the name. It's just DJI from the freaking drone. All right, whatever, dude. Stop picking on this guy. Okay. Mini splits, not a fan of those, but okay. It looks, pretty recently renovated. Not bad. Not a fan of that bathroom. Looks quite terrible, honestly. Okay. Florida back room there. All right, I'm not blown away by this property. It's on the small side. So at 1,400, almost 1,500 square feet, it's probably 221s. Let's look at the guts of this deal and see if there's anything to have here. All right. Property is unique. Yeah, it sure is. And features 2 single-family homes on the same lot. Okay, so thanks for telling us that. Is this really a duplex? Let's find out. No. All right, so it's not even a duplex. It's a residential home. Let's see if they actually put an ADU here. Okay, so they did put an ADU. So house with added units. So it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath at 1,462 square feet, like they told us. But then they added an additional little efficiency of 630 square feet, okay? Okay, so let's go back. Now that we know what it is, it's a 3-2. But they say that it's a 2-1, so they might have changed it. Both units are updated 2-bedroom, 1-bath homes. This makes it an incredible opportunity for individuals to have extended family, yada, 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 yada. Okay, guys, so 2 2-1s. They say that one of them is rented for $2,200, and the other one is rented for $2,400. Now, before I hit everything, let's go back up here. And you guys can see where it falls in our first filter, right? It doesn't even meet the 1% rule, right? It doesn't get even close to it. It's still in the red. Anything that starts getting close to me is like 0.7 and up. DSCR, debt service coverage ratio, can it pay the mortgage, in other words? Like, it's not even close. You still need to come out of pocket for this, all right? So now let's do the rent check. Let's see maybe they could get more money, like what's going on. right? We do know that it's in Fort Lauderdale, so we're in Broward County, right? The median for a 2-1 in Broward County is $1,960. So they're already maxing out, guys. For a 2-1, I think for $2,400, even if it looks like, the property looks cute, they're maxing it out, right? That 2,200 is probably for the small one, and the 24 is probably for the main house. And they're getting 4,600. And so for that reason, guys, I don't think that there's much else you could do. It looks like the rents might be maxed out for this area already. The property, you could just really, all you can do here is like negotiate with a guy to bring the price down. But we're so far away for it to make sense. This property needs to be for us. If it could only collect $4,600, dude, this house needs to be like at 550 max, I think, for it to make any sort of sense for us, right? And you can see right there, yeah, like banks would they wouldn't really want to lend you the money even at 550. This property would need to be like, yeah, for it to really make sense, it would need to be like at like 480, 500 maybe, 500 max, right? Yeah, like 500 we start getting close, but yeah, it would need to be like 480. Okay, 124, 125, that's where it starts getting really comfortable for banks. So for these reasons, guys, I would give this property originally right now, it's at 750, Jesus. 750 grand that this guy wants for this. All right. If you were to buy it at that point, guys, I mean, I don't have to tell you guys, look at the returns here. Just go ahead and put it in the S&P. Burn your money at that point for all. It's terrible. So this property is also an F. So we're going to go ahead and discard this property. Okay. So we're back to Miami-Dade. We're looking at a triplex. This triplex is $960,000, $65,000. Okay. Don't be scared by the big sticker price, because actually it's cheaper by the square foot, right? They're currently paying $13,623 a year in taxes. Square feet, 2,588 square feet. So it's a little bit bigger, and it is a triplex. And they do tell us, at least here, that it's making $6,050, and $50 a year, a month in rental income. And if you guys could think about it, right? Like they're selling it for like close to $1 million, they're making $6 million. Where do you guys think it'll fall in the 1% rule between 6 and 7? There it is, 0.63%, right? And so that gives us an idea of like how the deal is going to flow. So before I start saying like, but what if, and like, let's say look into the property, let's just quickly look at a picture of it, which they don't give us. Okay, they're not selling the city, right? So I'm guessing like this agent needs to get fired, but like we don't know if it's this one, or this one. Maybe it's that. I'm guessing it's this lot here. So this might be a big lot, and so this is a single family, and then they have like this additional dwelling unit in the back. But with that being said, guys, just so you could see how the 1% rule kind of trickles down at 0.63, right? It doesn't even cover, like the 1% rule tells you like, hey, if it's getting close, right? If it's below like 0.7, it's probably not going to work out. And it's accurate, because why? Look at that. It doesn't even, like, this translates into the property not even being able to pay for the mortgage at this point, right? It translates into returns that, are subpar, okay? It translates into every single way that you could buy this using a loan, you losing money on it the day that you buy it. Even if it's completely rented out, right? You would lose money on it every single month, all right? And actually, usually even bad properties could actually increase your wealth, because maybe you're not getting money in terms of like cash flow in the rent, but the tenants are paying for the property. So it's putting kind of money in the bank, right? Through like you're getting appreciation. The tenants are paying off your principal, right? You're getting some cash, and then you're also having a tax advantage. You could, investment properties have a tax advantage. You could basically grab like the value of the property without the land, and you could depreciate that over like, I think 27 and a half years. And you could write that off from your taxes every year. But this property doesn't even do that. It'll actually destroy your wealth. If you buy this using FHA or a 10% down loan for the first 3 years, it'll just erode your wealth, even if you take advantage of all those things. So for that reason, guys, this property is a hard F, like a freaking E. Like it should just take this off. So we're not even going to look at this property just because there's no way that this is going to make any sense. But you know what, guys? I don't like doing that stuff. So let me go back. Oh, whoops. Too bad. You know, everything happens for a reason. We got rid of it. All right, let's look at the next property. $740,000. It's a duplex, they tell us, and they're currently paying $9,900 a year in taxes. And square feet wise, it's 2,062 square feet. Okay, and they said right now in rent, they're only collecting 2,650. And this is the reason that like I want to go back and I'm going to look at the other house a little bit, because even though the pictures suck, just like this one, this guy, actually, I think we reviewed this property yesterday, but we'll review it real quick again. Is you got to look at the guts of it, because sometimes real estate agents they just do a terrible job, right? And you can see here, sorry guys, they said that it's only collecting 2,650, but they don't put how much the other ones could rent for, right? And if I want to advertise a property, I would try to tell you guys the maximum that the property could realistically rent for. And so this one, right, if it rents for 2,650, but then there's a 3.2 and the 3.2 is vacant, and it could get another, I don't know, $3,000 because it's a 3.2, and the average is in Miami, right? This is in Miami. Yep, it's in Miami. The average is in Miami for a 3.2 or $3,000, right? That all of a sudden the property is a lot better, right? It means that this property could produce $5,600 a month in rent. They're wanting an offer of $740. It's not totally off, right? If you could decrease the price for this to $700K, all of a sudden you're like, you're very close to a bank being very willing to give you money to buy this, right? It would mean that you could get a better return on your investment. However, you buy this using leverage, you could do better than the S&P 500. So for these reasons, this property for me is a C, just because it's barely like getting there. You know, it's not unreasonable to think that you could decrease the price from 750 that this guy wants, 740 to 700, right? So, and yeah, you can see where it falls also on the 1% rule, and it kind of translates right throughout, that this property is like right between 10 and right where the S&P is. And so I think that has this property as is probably has I would put this property like at a C, but it has the potential to be a B. Okay, so for that reason, we're still going to go ahead. We're going to discard this because we saw it yesterday. And we're going to look at the last property for the day, and then we'll jump back to the one that we discarded earlier. All right. This one is a $565,000 duplex in Miami-Dade County that's currently paying $9,210 a year in taxes, and it's 2,064 square feet. Okay. They don't tell us how much the rents are, but they do tell us it's in flood zone X, which is the best kind of flood zone we could be in. Let's take a quick look at the pictures, guys. Okay, so there's two things. I like and I don't like that he has solar panels. I like the solar panels because, dude, he paid for them. Like, you just got to come in here and live off of that. But solar panels suck for many reasons. All right, for me, number one, they put holes in your freaking roof. Okay, the moment that one of those holes starts leaking, now you have a problem. Okay, and you better hope that your tenant spots it right away and calls you immediately about it. Because if he just lets that sit there, now you're dealing with mold, you're dealing with insurance, you're dealing with a host of issues. Okay, I don't even want to think about that. So on top of that, then like your tenants are going to come and they're going to want, more than likely, and I haven't experienced this, so you guys let me know if you're landlords and you've rented out houses with solar panels, you let me know. But I mean, trying to tell the tenant like, hey, I'm gonna, like, now you get free electricity, but then if they pay, are they gonna want it off their rent? Like, too much work, too much like hassle. Or like Do you say like, hey, I cover electricity and now you increase the rents, but then what if the solar panels start failing? Like, and how do you say like, all right, all right, let's take a look at this. So yeah, thanks. You let us know it has solar panels. Great. All right. Yeah, you got solar panels. We know. What the hell's going on with this house? Look at this corner here. Look at the box ACs. First of all, can't stand that. And then look at this green thing here. What the hell? All right, I don't like this, guys. For $565,000, man. I don't think that they're getting $5,000 a month in rent. But let's see. Income producing properties ideal for investors or buyers looking to live in one and rent the other. Strong rental demand in the area, potential for steady cash flow, located near major roads. But they don't tell us what it is. So is it a 2-1 and a 3-2? Probably. Let's take a look because the agent doesn't tell us. Why would he? Okay, one good thing for us, the buyers, is that this property has been reported as delinquent in paying property taxes since 2024. I wonder why. Probably because they bought those crappy solar panels. I can guarantee you, if you talk to the sellers, they're not liking their solar panels, guys. All right, 2 stories, but it doesn't say what it is. But let's assume, right, because the 5-3 breakdown is very common for a 3-2 and a 2-1, that you do have that is the unit mix. If that's the unit mix, guys, then in Miami-Dade County, right, let's see what they could get in rent. They told us that they are getting what in rent? They didn't tell us. Okay. So let's do a quick rent check, right? In Miami-Dade County, a 2-1 could rent for $2,300. And a 3-2 could rent for $3,000. If that's the case, guys, then this property could make up to $5,300 a month in rent, right? Which makes this property pretty freaking good. Even though I was talking mad crap about it, it could be pretty freaking good, right? It might be so good that, if you could verify that you could get these rents in this area, right? And if we could actually get some picture, like the inside doesn't look terrible, all right? These are kind of deals that makes you, have to look. Like at first you look at it and you're like, ugh. But then you look and you're like, damn, all right. Like when you start looking at the numbers, it can make more sense. You just gotta repaint this. So it could be a diamond in the rough, guys. This could be a diamond in the rough. All right. It's got the type of roof that this property has, right? This gabled roof, right? It means it has space in here to put AC ducts. So you can make this property better now and put AC ducts and put central AC in each side. And then maybe you could really get these rents. Maybe you could get even more than these rents. But let's suppose that you could just get these rents, right? This guy is already delinquent, so he needs to move out. So that this price is going to be negotiable. This is his bucket, his ideal list, but he is delinquent on taxes. So he's going to want a deal before he actually sells this. He's probably I guarantee you, has people calling him, offering him like $300K for this house, right? Just super lowballing him. So if you guys come in here and you offer him $500K, I could almost guarantee that this guy will sell it to you for $500K. At that point, it's beyond a 1% kind of a deal, okay? And if you could actually get these rents, right? If you spend and then whatever, if it leaks, if the AC, if the roof leaks, at worst that it's going to cost you is another 20 grand, and it would still be a 1% kind of a deal. So let's see, guys. Let's see. All right. What do the returns look like? All right. So we rent check this. It's in Miami, not a bad location, right? Like the rents, just going off the median rents, like this could be really good. Okay. We need to go back and check those rents. But if we could get these rents, guys, where do our returns sit? Even if you buy this cash, you'll be doing better than the S&P. All right. You could do up to 25% return on your investment if you buy this FHA. Shoot, if you buy this FHA, all you need is like about $18,000. And in the lifetime, this property is going to make you $1.4 million. Would you trade? Guys, if I told you, go get me $18,000 and I'll give you 1.4 mil, would you do that? Shit, I would do that. I would do that all day. All right. Now, if you finance this, right? If you finance this the way that it is right now, 6.37%, yeah, year one with FHA, it's actually going to cost you a little bit of money. You're not going to, if you save money, right, to put aside for repairs, vacancy, and when you need to replace that freaking roof, right? You're going to be able to cash flow in about 2 years and a month. But if you use 10% or if you use a 25% down payment, dude, you guys are going to cash flow on day one. Okay. Now, here are the numbers, right? If you buy FHA, right, and you're putting money aside for, again, vacancy, 5%, long-term repairs, right, another 5%, and short-term repairs and maintenance, another 5%, well, you're going to actually have to put $100 out of your pocket every month, to feel really comfortable with your investment. But that's year one. By year 10, guys, this property is going to put almost $900 in your pocket every single month. And that's using FHA. And that's assuming that you never refinance this house. Because if you could actually refinance this at a rate below 6.37, I don't know, like a 4.5, dude, look how much money you start making immediately. Immediately, guys. Look at this number. Look at that number. Look at this number. Look at that number. And all that would need to happen is rates to come down by a point. By actually 2 points. But it's not far-fetched, guys. It's not far-fetched. Okay? Even 5.98, which we were at just a couple of weeks ago. Okay? 5.98. See what happens. You cash flow on day one. Okay? You cash flow on day one. So for that reason, this property as is a B. For me, this property has the potential to be an A or an A+. So we waited to the end, but dude, it paid off. I think that this is a diamond in the rough. And with the shitty pictures that it has, thank you, real estate agent, because most people are going to look at this and they're going to say ugly duckling and walk away or actually run away. But then the people are, there's an ugly Betty house. There's like an ugly Betty house that you're like, wait a minute. This could be really good. Like, we can make this work. So, guys, I'm going to look more into this property because this might be one of the best ones that we come across this month. But let me know what you guys think. Maybe you totally disagree with me. So looking forward to it. Hit me up in the comments and we will, actually, we forgot to look at the other property. Let's take a look at it. I actually got rid of it. I'm going to go ahead and save this to my cart. New cart, 4926. Save. Okay, if you guys want me to send it to you, I'll send it to you. Just let me know. So with that being said, we said that we were going to go back and we were going to look at that property that I had discarded, which was we got to sort by square foot. Hold up. YouTube. Price per square foot. Cancel. Boom. Boom. I think, was it this one, guys? Let's see. No. It was this one. Okay. Yeah, it was the one where the guy took a picture of the city. All right, cool. Let's look at the guts of this deal. So he had put here there was a triplex at $965,000, paying $13,623 a year in taxes. They told us that it was 2,588 square feet. And they said that he was collecting $6,050 a year in, a month in rent. And so we were saying like, hey, like, it barely makes any sense, right? Like it'll just cover the mortgage, but banks want more than that. That's what we were saying. And 13,000. Oh, and the interest rates were different, right? So interest rate 6.37. Yeah, that's where it was at. Okay, cool. That's what I remember. All right, so let's look at the guts of this deal and see if that's accurate, if all that's accurate. Exceptional income producing property in a rapidly appreciating Shenandoah neighborhood. So it's a good area. The well-maintained multi-unit property sits in a charming tree line, blah, 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 offers 3 residences. A 4-bedroom, 2-bath, okay? A 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and a separate 1-1 cottage with common laundry. Okay, so it's already shared laundry. Yikes. The current owner has invested over $80,000 and thoughtful upgrades. So you would think that you would want to take pictures of those, bro. Kitchen cabinet and appliances. Unit offers 3 separate meters, AC and fully equipped kitchens, enhancing tenant appeal, yada, 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 generating $6,050 a month in gross income. Property also has on-site laundry. Is the on-site laundry like also additional income, or is it free? Like, this guy doesn't tell us anything. Okay, ideally, okay, in your Coral Gables, brick, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the 4.2, he says the 4.2 rents for $2,550. Okay, he says that the 2.1 is only renting for $1,900, and that the 1.1, the efficiency, is renting for $1,600. The cottage rents for $1,600, guys. Okay, so that puts us where he's at. Now, here's my beef with this, right? He says that the cottage, guys, the freaking cottage rents for $1,600, right? Which is accurate. Look at that. He's correct. The median in Miami-Dade for a 1.1, which, I mean, we could call that the cottage, I guess, is $1,600, okay? But this is where I start having some beef. If the freaking cottage, okay, which is not even a 1.1, rents for $1,600, why isn't he getting $2,300 for that 2.1 at least, right? And why is he not getting for that 4.2 above $3,000? Shoot, $3,100 at least, right? So this is where, like, maybe you have an owner who's not able to maximize his rents because maybe he counts on a real estate agent that doesn't even know what pictures to put online, and he counts on this guy to also lease the apartments for him. But if you could do a better job at just advertising it on freaking Facebook Marketplace and maybe get the average rents for the freaking area, you know, just the average rent that you get for your freaking cottage, if you could get that for the 2.1 and you could get that for the 4.2, where would you stand? So let's do that homework for this guy. Hopefully you're watching, and hopefully maybe you don't need to sell because you could just rent them out for a little bit more, dude. What would you get? How would the numbers change, guys? And would this property be worth it? All right, so let's suppose that we could get market for the 2.1 at $2,300. And let's suppose that we could get market for that 4.2. So market for a 3.2 is $3,000. Let's say a 4.2, the additional margin of utility is like, I don't know, $200. It's not gonna be a lot, guys, because an additional bedroom at that point, yeah. All right, but let's say it's $3,150. Okay, now you're up to $7,000 a month. Now you're not looking all too bad probably with your DSCR. Your DSCR is above, right, 110%. Okay, a bank would lend on it. All right, and you're in the 0.73 rule. So you're probably, your return on investment here, your ROI, is probably close to 10%. It probably matches your S&P. Oh, it really doesn't. All right, I was off. Okay, so yeah, this is still a shitty deal. This is still a shitty deal, guys. All right, where would we need to get this guy down to? Okay, this guy wants to sell the property. He has not the best pictures. He's not going to get a whole lot of offers. What could be realistic that we could get him down to? I think that we could probably get this guy down to $900,000, right? And at that point, guys, it's still a C deal. It's still a C. So right now, the way that this property sits, it's a D. Best case scenario, right? I think this property would be a C. So right now it's a D. Best case scenario, it's a C. And so for that reason, guys, like, again, there's way better, like, low-hanging fruit, like the one that we just saw, the last one that we saw. Just go for that. Try to verify that. And then, you know, like, if you guys want to, leave this in the bucket of your C properties. But guys, start with the easy pickings. Start with the ones that, like, make you the most money. And then, like, if those don't work out, then you work your way down to the ones that, like, might be questionable, right? Make the best use of your time when you're out there. Make the best use of your time because you got to research all this stuff. You got to verify the rent. You got to verify the property. Like, you got to do all this due diligence before you even, like, send a contract out. So with that being said, guys, let me know if you have any comments. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be more than happy to address it on the next show. I'll see you guys tomorrow.